Taco shows. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The highlights and, unfortunately, the lowlights that stood out this past week in the vast sea we call humanity.
This is 101.1 WJRR, Orlando's rock station. I'm Pat Lynch. Taco is off today and we'll be back on Monday. So I'm kind of just, doing the one-man band thing today. Thank you for keeping me company. I do appreciate that. All right. Let's go through the bad stack first, then we'll get to some good news. Right? Don't worry, the Good News Network with Taco Bob's system that he has in that will return next week. This story really, you may not even heard about this story, but it's at the top of the stack in my world. This really pisses me off. Ferguson, Missouri. Does that ring a bell? Yeah. It was the 10th anniversary of the death of Michael Brown. Remember all the rioting that kicked off after that and the subsequent moves that the Ferguson Police Department has made over the last 10 years to improve the situation, the police department versus the public relationship. They now have a police force that's more than 50% black. They've made strides to, despite all that, on the 10th anniversary, all these protesters gathered again to raise hell, and all hell broke out, and one of the officers, a black police officer, by the way, has been left with a traumatic brain injury after one of the protesters tackled him on concrete, football style, and the officer smashed his head on the ground. The video is horrific. It is horrible. The suspect, 28-year-old Elijah Gant of East St. Louis. Garbage. You'd have to throw this guy into the bad stack. We talked about this story earlier in the week. The dude who got kicked out of Emperor's Gentlemen's Club, strip club in Tampa. About 4:19 in the morning, he was pissed off, got into his semi and drove it into the building, killing one person and injuring two others, sending them to the hospital. By the way, all three of those people had nothing to do with the guy being thrown out of the club. This, such a preventable story out of Palm Bay. A 17-year-old and his father arrested in connection with a hit-and-run crash that left a 23-year-old man dead in Palm Bay. The initial thought was the 37-year-old father, Narian Sabdul, was the driver at the time of this crash that struck and killed the man, and then they drove off. Short time later, the car returns to the scene of the hit and run, where it's discovered that it was the 17-year-old son of Narian, Tyler, who had been driving 94 miles per hour. He struck and killed this pedestrian and then sped off. So they're both facing charges now. We go to Texas, where a young girl has died because her parents decided to treat injuries that she had suffered. She had a serious medical situation, and she collapsed. And her parents, rather than reaching out or taking her to the hospital or emergency room, spent 4 days trying to treat her themselves with vitamin-infused smoothies. The 12-year-old passed because she needed much more medical help than that. Vitamin-infused smoothies. An argument over mulch ends in a death of a neighbor. This situation, again, this is in Canton Township, Michigan. Devereaux Johnson is a 47-year-old arraigned on first-degree murder charges. A neighbor was walking in front of this guy's house with his kids, his daughters who are 5 years old and 2 years old. One of them touched the mulch in Johnson's yard, and this sent this guy into a rage. So Dad sent the two kids back up to the house, and he wanted to stay to defuse the situation, but there was no diffusing it. The guy killed the dude over his young daughter touching his mulch. How about some good news? Want some good news? We can do that. Woman in the UK gave birth in the lobby of a movie theater on Wednesday. Theater announced they're giving the kid free tickets for life. She had a healthy baby girl, and they're both doing great. So that's good news. Plus, with the price of movie tickets, that's not a bad little spiff there, right? Woman in England who dropped out of school at the age of 15 just became a doctor at the age of 41. She says, quote, I really believe that if your heart is in it, you can 100% do the crazy things you've always dreamed of. So at 41, she becomes a doctor after being a high school dropout. The world's first blood test for a concussion has been invented and is now being used at Orlando Health Hospital. The ER at Orlando Regional Medical Center is the first and only place in the world so far where a doctor can do a blood test to get an idea of how bad a brain injury is and get results in 15 minutes. That is groundbreaking and really cool. Hats off Orlando Health. A retired Marine in Pennsylvania named Joseph DeMarco just turned 100 years old. And people in his town threw him a big surprise party with a police escort and special guests. The mayor of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania showed up. Their local congressman showed up. And Joseph had enlisted in the Marines after the attack on Pearl Harbor. He forged his parents' signature because he was only 17 at the time he signed up to serve our country. Finally, we got this here. Well, actually, a couple more things here. A 12-year-old kid in Massachusetts named Danny Doherty set up a homemade ice cream stand outside his house to raise money for his brother's special needs hockey team. The ice cream stand got shut down after someone in the neighborhood complained to the health department, as you're not allowed to sell homemade ice cream in Massachusetts, so they snitched on him. He ended up getting around the red tape by offering the ice cream for free and asking people to donate, which netted him about $60. But he stands to make a whole lot more now. The owners of a restaurant called Longboards heard about the situation. They're donating 25% of proceeds from their signature dessert to help the cause. And they also loaded his donation jar as well. One last thing here. A father and his young son won an unusual treasure hunt in Utah. They found $25,000 hidden under a rock. This treasure hunt has been going on since June, and new clues got released each week. The dad says he'll use the money for back-to-school shopping and for his kids' college fund. There is some good in the world. Doesn't seem like it sometimes, but there's an awful lot of good in the world. I'll give you both sides of the coin here. And as I said, when Taco returns, so will the Good News Network. I don't know what that system is or where the website is that he pilfers that information from. And I'm not even going to try to emulate his, unique style of presenting that in his pals and all that. Okay? All right, stay close. We're going to get into Lynch and Taco's commercial-free Workday Rock Block coming up at 8. I'm going to, in the Rock Block, I'll play some Great White as Jack Russell has died, Great White singer. Also, the passing of Greg Kihn. I'm going to drop in a classic from Greg Kihn. All right, all that on the way. Thanks for being here this morning and rocking on the job with us on the Lynch and Taco Show.
Lynch and Taco on the